little bit of tip.
Yeah.
And then this is another guy here. He could help you on your other aspect.
Yeah, and I think that just like in every other profession, it takes a team to get things done.
Right.
And I think what's more humbling for me is to realize that I'm only a small piece in this individual's life. They have a bunch of other people that they connect with and they see. My job is to really, that piece that they connect with me, just enough for them to nudge them in a different direction and really get them thinking a little bit outside of the fact that, I'm injured now, or I'm here for my whatever injury that may be, but as opposed to, I got to get back to doing what I enjoy doing. I got to get back to, and what does that look like? And so my job is to really appreciate that about them.
Yeah.
And to get a good sense about what motivates them and what doesn't motivate them. But I think that's part of the reason why I don't have a particular niche, if you will. Like I only work with certain, athletes, or I only work with certain demographic. I've got pediatric patients. I've got, octogenarians. I've got, every from anyone and everyone you can think of, I work with. I see neuro patients. I have, patient with, hey, I want to stay active. I'm a stroke survivor, 20 years now. I need to stay active. What do I need to do? I had a trainer before, but the trainer moved on, or I lost motivation. How do I get back to doing those types of things? So these are all the same conflicts that we all experience, right? Like, hey, from a neuro patient who's like, hey, I fell off the wagon from doing my routine.
What's a quick recent story that really comes to your mind, like a success story?
Well, there are lots of success stories, but the best success stories are really, the run of the mill, like, hey, I can't believe that I didn't know that this existed. So I had a patient who called and said to me, hey, look, I know you do, I know you only work with, only like elite athletes, and I need to come, but I'm not an elite athlete. I'm just a mom, and I have, I ended up having back surgery after years and years and years of, agonizing pain that just never went away.
Right.
And I know you only work with professionals, so I'm like I don't. Yeah. I work with people.
So you kind of are pigeonholed to that professional athlete.
I think, but that's really more from like
reputation.
Whoever they hear it from, right? So whoever they get referred to, because all my referrals are really either from coaches, trainers, or other patients. Okay. So this person had pretty extensive low back history, and ended up having surgery and had traditional PT that didn't work as well as she'd hoped.
Okay.
And after, months and months of that, she was still in a lot of pain. And
what was the initial surgery that she had on her back?
She had a
bulging disc?
Bulging disc that they went in, they repaired.
Okay. Like by the neck or mid-back?
In the low back. So she had a lot of like weakness, a lot of numbness, a lot of tingling down the leg, and that was still present post-op. So she was like, I don't know, the surgery didn't work, yada yada, and I think we spent a lot of time just kind of listening and talking and kind of letting her kind of express herself, because I think that's part of the process, right? The healing process really begins when you can actually listen to them and let them tell you what's been going on, rather than like, yep, I know what's good. I know what to do here. Do exercise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll be fine.
Right.
So I listened to her story. She described, the anguish, and like she lost her sense of self. She was, accustomed to exercising regularly and just doing whatever she wanted to do. And then boom, she's now like laid out and can barely get out of bed and can barely take 10 steps. And so we started slowly and just kind of really talking about her goals and what she wanted. And really, she's just like, I want to get back to, doing and being active and spending time with my family and my kids.
Could you get into the specifics, though, of like what was her goal and how did you relieve that?
So her goal was really to get back to an active lifestyle.
Okay. She was like an athlete prior
She was not necessarily a professional athlete, but
just active.
She was really active. And this surgery really laid her out, and so she was really bummed and she was really depressed. Okay. So, I mean, I think the first part was just, like I said, listening. and then kind of gradually increasing her activities, right? So we just slowly worked on achievable goals, small bite-sized achievable goals. Like, hey, today you are going to walk 5 minutes.
Okay.
Tomorrow you're
on a
going
treadmill,
to walk.
just walking.
It didn't matter. Outside, indoor, wherever.
So you don't do this with her. That's kind of like her homework.
This is her homework.
Okay.
Yeah. So her homework was really, because in the beginning, patients really need to feel like they can do things on their own.
Right.
You need a success, right? You need a win. You need a W after surgeries, after injuries. You need to find some W along the way.
Yeah.
And so, part of that is really kind of encouraging them that it's not as big a deal as you think. It will get better, but here's how it gets better. And so now you have very specific measurable goals. So she went from walking 2 minutes and having the searing pain down the leg. So coupled with some exercises that I introduced to her in the walking program, within 2 weeks, she was walking about 10, 15 minutes. And then about 3 weeks, she was doing 30 minutes and feeling good. She was still feeling pretty fatigued, but she was feeling good. So that gave her
confidence,
that nudge, right? That gave her that nudge, like, oh my God, this stuff is working.
Yeah.
So once they can get to that point where they go, oh my God, this is working.
Yeah.
Then you can start introducing
exercises
that are very specific to their injuries and kind of getting that. So that's when we start working on, hey, you got to get back to weight bearing. You got to get those legs stronger again.
So saying, what is that, 2 weeks for her to do like the first 10 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, it took about 2 weeks. It took about a month before she felt confident enough to walk like 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I really want to hone in on, because me being an athlete and working with other athletes, all they want to do is get back there like instantly.
Yeah.
And I really want to highlight and emphasize that it's going to take time for you to acclimate and truly like rebuild true confidence rather than your just ego. Like, I can do it because I did it before.
Right. And that it is. I mean, I think half of rehab is really a confidence game, right? You really got to get people confident enough to go, oh my God, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so but after a month, she was shocked that she was able to get back to playing with her kids. She was walking again. And then, so what strikes me as even more of a positive is when she came back in about a month or so, after about a month of kind of what we did earlier, she's like, what else could we do?
Okay.
Right? So when someone comes in and that's the first question they ask, that's a huge, huge plus, right? Because that tells you that, one,
it's too easy.
Not only is it too easy, but that they have now the confidence that they can get back to doing what they want to do. Right? What can we do next is really as code for, I feel great.
Yeah.
It's about time I need to start getting back to life. So that's when we really kind of get into specific, strength and conditioning stuff for her back, and really get back into movements that otherwise made her feel uncomfortable, like a deadlift, like a squat. And then we progressed to like weighted exercises with a deadlift and a squat. And she was like, oh my God, I thought I would have pain, or I thought I would have, a recurrence of my pain.
Right.
And none of that happened. I felt sore, which is good because all my muscles were pretty atrophied for months of inactivity.
Yeah.
And then so, again, it's a slow grade, but once you get to the point where they can kind of take off on their own, I usually reduce their frequency of visits to maybe once every 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
And then I give them an opportunity to really kind of take it over, because most of my patients are already motivated. So I don't really need to see them that often to keep an eye on them.
Right.
What I need to do is give them the opportunity to figure out the rhythm and the process that works best for them. Because let's be honest, we all have lives, we all have schedules that don't really gravitate around strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to let people figure out a rhythm that works best for them.
Right.
And whether that's, they're doing their exercises at at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock at night, it's irrelevant. As long as they can get into a rhythm that works best for them, that's the only way you can create that therapeutic benefit.
The biggest thing that really stood out to me was that when your client said, what else is next, you kind of were just saying like, okay, now we'll get into it. As the powerlifting coach side of me, my experience is that once they get there, I've kind of been like the leader, and then now I'm kind of been put in a position where I dictate their training, and they see me as the they see me as the what's the word? Not leader, but now as the person they look towards for what's next. And that's one thing I want to get away from. And I was going to ask you, how do you do that other than see them less?
So, I mean, I think that's a great question. I think what separates our practice style from the rest, I think, is that I don't care if that patient gets better, whether it's through me,
right,
or whether it's through a trainer or a coach. My job is to really create an environment that can happen.
Okay.
Right. So my job is to create an environment that says, hey, look, yes, you have this injury. Chances are it's probably not as bad as you think it is. It hurts like hell, that's for sure.
Right.
But sometimes your pain level and the level of injury may not be the same. Right. And so I think going through that process and just educating people and educating injured people about the nature of their condition really does lower their guard and really gets, oh man, I did not think of it like that. I just thought if I have pain, I shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But you can exercise and have a certain level of pain, and that pain doesn't increase or decrease.
Right.
Right. So I think it's important that we educate people. And so that's kind of what I guess sets us apart, is that my education around pain and around performance is that some pain is acceptable.
Right.
Right. And then some pain is unacceptable.
Okay.
And identifying that pain threshold is important, and really,
and
what
everyone
that
is
pain
different.
Means, and everyone's
That's
different.
the biggest thing.
And everyone interprets pain differently, culturally,
right?
Or historically. How you interpret pain, when you get injured, is a good reflection of how you react to injuries and surgeries, etc. Right? Mm-hmm. Some people are really stoic. No big deal, I'm good.
Right.
Which means that post-op, they may not be as sensitive.
Okay.
As opposed to someone's like, oh my God, I've got a paper cut, and oh my God, this is great, it's the end of the world. Which means that they may overreact, or they may have a heightened sense of or increased sensitivity.
But have you seen that athlete that's like too stoic? That's more like they really have like a hairline fracture in their foot, and they're like, I'm still gonna go. The race is next week or something.
Yeah, and I think athletes like that are there, and I think my job is to really educate them on their condition.
Okay.
So all you can do is educate. You can't
right.
really, I mean, you're not going to stop them from doing anything.
Right.
But I think if you can arm them with enough information about the pros and cons of continue to perform or not continue to perform,
it's on their risk.
It's really, they take
their
on
judgment.
That risk, and that's part of being, that's part of being a responsible clinician, is really being okay with them going off the res. And sometimes maybe they will get injured, or maybe they won't.
Okay.
Right? But you have to be okay with that, but you also have to be prepared to educate them on the pros and cons of doing those things, right?
Right.
So I think, like I said, our job is really primarily as educators first.
Okay.
I mean, as much as I love the clinical aspect, I think the education part is the most important, because that's what carries over way after they're done hanging out with me.
Right.
Right. So the education of being aware of what my pain means, or what my sensitivity means, or what my injury meant, as opposed to, I don't know, I had a torn ACL, I went to PT, bing, bang, bong, I'm back on the court, or I'm back on the field. But I don't know what it takes to continue to maintain this level of fitness, continue to maintain this level of injury-free performance.
Okay.
Right? But if you can educate them, like, hey, look, right now you're going to be doing a lot of intensive work that's geared towards getting that knee strong and healthy. When you're done with me, you're going to have to continue to do that. If you don't, the likelihood of your symptoms coming back goes up, or the likelihood of having chronic pain goes up. And so now they know, okay, if I don't do this, there are some consequences associated with that. And if I do this, there's some ways for me to mitigate that risk. And maybe I can play much more consistently and healthier, and I can feel more confident too.
Okay.
But if you don't include that education component, I feel it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of their time because there's nothing to take away except for, I don't know, they give me a whole bunch of things to do,
Yeah,
and
this little
then
paper
a
booklet.
little paper
That's what
booklet.
I gotta do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to